I look like a fairy. Hey guys, so today I will finally be reviewing my favorite book of all time at the moment, A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. I love this book so much. It has just the right amount of everything that I would want in a book. Romance, badassery, everything. And it's beautiful. A Court of Mist and Fury, or Engulfed, is the sequel in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. So I'm just going to do like a quick synopsis kind of thing of this, but it's non-spoilery, so if you haven't read the series, you'll be fine to watch this part. This series is set in a land where humans and fairies live together, but with like a wall separating them, so that fairies live in one land, which is called Prythian, and humans live in just the human realm. And our heroine for this series is a huntress. Her name is Feyre. She lives in poverty with her father and her two older sisters, and she kind of is the one that keeps them alive. She hunts for them, she trades in the town for them. They don't give her the real recognition that she needs, especially for the job that she's doing. Feyre's whole life changes one day when she's out in the woods, you know, just hunting, and then she kills this giant wolf creature. This giant wolf creature turns out to be pretty important, since it attracts the attention of this fairy beast creature named Tamlin, who takes Feyre away from her family to Prythian, like as retribution for killing that wolf. And that's all I'm going to say about it. I know it's kind of like a crazy way to describe this book. I'm just bad at summaries. It is so good. And so that's the summary of A Court of Thorns and Roses. If I told you the summary kind of this book, it would spoil things in this book. If you haven't read this book, then I don't want to spoil it for you. Go pick up the book. It's so good. Sarah J. Maas is a genius. Okay, bye non-spoilery people. Bye, 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 bye. And we're back. Oh, I hit my nose. First of all, do you like my ensemble? I kind of did like my makeup, like the blue here and then the blue here and the glitter, to kind of mimic the starfall scene when they get like splattered with stardust, and then I did her tattoo, but I was stupid and did it in washable markers, so it's like coming off on my arm. Engulfed. This book is ginormous. I read it twice. Like, I finished it the first time and it was so good that immediately I started rereading. I just wasn't ready to leave it and read another book. I was like, I need Rhysand back in my life. And also I wanted to like read the beginning, especially just to read Tamlin in a different way, because the first time I was reading it, I was kind of like, I would say, Feyre. I was in that dreamlike state where I wanted to believe the best of him because she was in love with him. Yes, I was trying to like justify what he was doing, but I could also see that there were a lot of things wrong with him. After like that dreamlike stage and following Feyre in her head and rereading it a second time, I definitely saw every single flaw about him and what he was doing. That's when I understood like fully why he was called Tamlin the Tool. Tamlin the Tool. Because he freaking locked her in a house. He freaking did not let her vent to him. He freaking went to Hybern, the evil overlord of the fairylands, to try to get her back. I understand that you want your girlfriend back, but after all that you did to her, I don't understand. You could have at least told her what you were doing. He was like, yeah, that's why I was away all that time, because I was trying to figure out a way to break that deal with you and Rhysand. You could have told her that! That really isn't like a need to like keep secret from her. He just never talked to her and they never had a very equal relationship. It was mostly him on top and her just slumped at the bottom. That's why I am not a fan anymore of Tamlin. Even in the first book, I was more attracted to Rhysand than I was to Tamlin. That might have just been because he was like dark and mysterious and he was funny, and I like those kind of guys better than I like the blonde golden god. Like, I was more like interested in Rhysand's character than I was with Tamlin, so much that at the end of reading and rereading ACOTAR, I wasn't that excited when Tamlin and Feyre got together. I was more excited to see what Feyre would say to Rhysand after all that stuff under the mountain was over. And Rhysand, he was just such a complex character who we didn't know anything about, and he was just like super kind of sketchy, but also like there was something about him where you knew he didn't really want to be doing what he was doing. And in this book, we finally got to like see his entire character. He's my favorite character ever. He is perfection. I mean, he's funny, he's witty, like just the way he treats everybody that he meets. In Valaris, when everybody looks at him and they're not scared of him and they treat him obviously with respect because he's their high lord, but with an air of kind of like friendliness and friendship because he knows all their names and he's so kind to everybody. And it's just, not to mention his violet eyes and blue black hair. Like, can we get started on that? Whew. And the tattoos, yes please. And the wings. Illyrian wings are my new favorite accessory. I love hearing his backstory, how he was there when his father was killed by Tamlin, or hearing about his mother and sister being killed and him having to deal with that burden for so long. But also like the backstory with Ianthe. At the beginning I felt like she was going to be an okay character, but then she just turned on me like that. Hearing about what she tried to do to Rhys really hit me. But what really brought on the waterworks was when he was telling Feyre about how he fell in love with her. Just like the whole story starting even before Akotar, when she was in her house and he sent her the image of the starry night and she painted it. That just brought me to tears. Everything made sense. I loved him even more. I mean, I loved him like throughout the book, like their banter, and I loved their like letters that they sent to each other. I thought those were hilarious. Their relationship is literally my favorite thing in the entire universe. Starting with the part at the beginning where she threw her shoe at him and he was like, and she was like, I'll do it again. After that, I was like, okay, they need to be together. Let's get rid of Tamlin, the tool, right now. And their letters to each other, I mean, the one about them like licking each other, I was like, oh my goodness gracious, you two are crazy children, but I ship you so bad. Another thing about their relationship was like how he like allowed her to just like defend herself rather than him defending her all the time. Like the attack on Valaris when she locked him out and then she saved the entire city basically. I mean, with the help of like Amarin and Cassian and all of them, but she saved everybody without Rhysand's help. And instead of being upset with her, he was like, dude, that was awesome. The scene with the Weaver, not only was that hilarious, how he sent her to get her own wedding ring, it was also amazing because she was like, oh, I hope he comes to save me, and she saved herself. And he was like, well, you saved yourself, didn't you? You're here now, right? Because he believed in her. He didn't think that she needed coddling or protecting. He knew that she could take care of herself. Another difference between him and Tamlin for all of you out there who still think that there are teams. As Christine Riccio said, Pole and Bananas books, there are no teams, there is only Rhysand. Just another difference is that he was truly worried for her and her well-being. She was a freaking skeleton when he first saw her. Especially in the scene where he brought her dinner and he's like, how can I help you? Let me help you. That scene just like, it hit me so hard because he was so worried about her and it was beautiful. Another thing that I thought about was like the bone carver. Him taking her back when she didn't want to go the first time. I was like, aw, Feyre. She doesn't want to go under a mountain again. And his understanding for that just is so amazing. Also, about the bone carver, I'd love to see a little novella or a little like snippet from Rhysand's point of view. Like what he was seeing. Like I know he saw Jurian, but I kind of want to see like how he was reacting, especially like to what Feyre was saying and doing while they were talking to the bone carver. Now I kind of want to talk about the Illyrians and like the whole concept of like this new breed of fairies that are trained basically as soldiers. I thought that was so cool. I mean, of course the war camps were terrible and they treated the women like crap, but just the whole concept of having these like strong and powerful winged fairies, I don't know, I just felt like they were so cool. Like Cassian and Azriel, they're two of the most amazing characters ever. Cassian really appealed to me because he was such like a jerk. Like he wasn't like a jerk like Tamlin, but he's like a jerk, like smart aleck kind of guy. But he also has like that like big brother persona, especially to Feyre. You know, like that scene where they're training and he lets her burn his hands just to let off some steam. I really like them like as like that brother-sister combo. And I really liked Cassian as kind of like that protector, but not too protecty. And he was very refreshing and a really good source of comic relief, especially his banter with Amren. And then there's Azriel, who's like the shadow singer. Did he remind you guys of Alec at all? Like, he was set apart from everyone. He doesn't talk that much. He's kind of removed, which is why I might have imagined him as Matthew Daddario. I liked how every single member of the dream team, as I call them, were like complementary to like every part of Feyre's personality. Cassian was kind of like her big brother person. Azriel was kind of there for her when she didn't feel like she fit in anywhere, and he could be there for her. Also, Azriel and Mor need to get together in the next book because they are mates. I call it, they're mates. Okay, and then the rest of the dream team, Morgan. Oh my gosh, she is so cool. And did anyone imagine her as Aquamarine? Because I did. I love her like bubbly personality, and I felt like she was just such a refreshing character to have around because she's also like sarcastic. Since she's Rhysand's cousin, she kind of like acts like his little sister too, and I think that's so funny, like hearing them like talk to each other and go back and forth. Her history at the Court of Nightmares, she was thrown at the edge of the Autumn Court with a note nailed to her body. She went through so much and she still like brushes it off like it's no big deal at all. Just her ability to keep that personality and keep going on after everything that she went through, it is awesome, and she is such a badass. She was kind of like a sister to Feyre, and she was kind of like that like girly kind of person that like would go shopping with Feyre, and she'd like stay up all night talking to Feyre, and I feel like that was really what Feyre needed, and something different from other books because the girl character really doesn't get enough like girly girl time. She gets to wear dresses and she feels good in those dresses, which is another thing. Like, body image in this book is crazy because usually in other books the girls need approval from guys to say that they're pretty, but in this one she looks in the mirror and she's like, girl, I look good today. Which is something I never see, and I was so surprised and so like happy to see that in a book. I was like, thank you, Sarah J. Maas. She thinks she's pretty. She doesn't need a guy to say it. How it should be. Feyre in the first book, she wasn't my favorite person to read through, but now in this book she's such a badass. I loved her as a narrator, and I can't wait to read from her, and I think that it's going to be a splintered point of view in the next book between her and Rhysand. It kind of started that at the end of this book, like there was a chapter from Rhysand and a chapter from Feyre, so I hope that that's going to continue in the next book because I'd love to see some things from Rhysand's point of view. And then we have Amren. What the heck is she? At first I was reading it and I was like, fire? Amren? Jewelry? Treasure? Is she like a dragon or something? They said like her true form was not anything like a high fae or fairy or anything. She likes her treasure, which is like what dragons are kind of known for. Like, you know, Smog guards all this gold and treasure. Could be a dragon. What if she like transforms into a dragon in the next book? Amren the dragon, guys. Maybe. Or not. But she's just such a cool character. Like, when I was first reading about her, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like her. She seems kind of mean. One of those really annoying girls that you see in books that is like, I'm all that, and you just bow down. But then you realize she really is all that, and you should back away. Her powers during the attack at Valaris, when she was going into people's minds and she was like making them think awful things and killing them that way, but also using this super firepower, and her caring about Valaris is something so deep and so amazing that it shows like that part of her that like really does love things, not just that stony face that she always puts on. And I also really loved her camaraderie with Feyre, like them at the summer court and going to get that part of the Book of Breathings, and then when they came back and they were laughing on the floor. I just really want to know what the heck she is. Just the tension between Feyre and Rhysand in general, like everything about it, like his jealousy and her jealousy at the summer court, it was heartbreaking and also really cute. When Rhysand was all with Cressida or whatever her name is, and Feyre was like, I just wanted someone to be alone with, like who was as alone as I was. And then when he came to her room later and he was like, you smiled at Tarquin, And she was like, well, yeah, I smell that dark wind. And it was so sad, like, but also like really cute to see how much they cared for each other at that point in time. After the Court of Nightmares, when he was like, I would literally kill anybody for you, and she was like, but we're just friends, and who would ever want to be with a mess like you anyways? And that made him upset, and then he flew away for like days. Then he came back and they forgave each other and they both said that they were sorry, and it was done instead of like this festering, like bickering that goes on for like 200 pages and then forgive each other. I'm so done with that kind of stuff. And this was so amazing how they forgave each other on the spot, no questions, it's done, and they're back together and happy. Rhysand got the blood rubies from Tarquin and he was all like brooding and like upset up on the roof. Do you want to go pick out lacy under things with me? You know you want to, come on! Played with each other like that and it was so cute, it's so funny. Like, I laughed so many times in this book. And them being mates. Oh my god, yes! Just like how Feyre found out that they were mates, I found hilarious. Just the Suriel being like, oh, your mate will be fine. And she was like, mates? 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 And the Suriel was like, you didn't know you were mates? Ha 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 ha. The mating scene, like in the cabin, and her giving him this heated up soup and being like, we are mates now. Here is soup. Be my mate now. Mates, 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 mates. Feyre and Rhysand, you get a mate. Elaine and Lucian, you get a mate. And I bet you Cassian and Nesta are mates. Lucian, I'm not super angry with him. I just hope that he and Feyre become allies in the next book and then team up against Tamlin, and then everything will be awesome because it'll be like he'll become part of the dream team. I hope that happens. I hope he becomes part of the dream team because I really do love Lucian's character and I want the best for him. When we first saw Nesta again and she like kind of reverted back to the annoying person at the beginning, but then she started fighting with Cassian and she started being all like sassy and stuff, and I was like, I like this girl again, she's cool. But nothing made me happier was when she was being taken down and thrown in that cauldron and she turns to Hybern and she flips him off all the way while she is sinking into this cauldron. Feyre said that there was something different about Nesta that Elaine wasn't. So I think that Nesta might be some kind of like part Illyrian, like maybe without the wings, or maybe she'll get her wings later. But I do think she's like part Illyrian. And Elaine in this book, so sweet, and she just makes me smile like all the time, especially in this book when she turns to like all her sisters after the queen scene and she's like, I hope they all burn in hell. She really does have this like fiery power inside her. I wonder how her and Nesta will deal with like being these creatures like High Fae or Illyrian, like these creatures that they feared for so long. And let me just say, those queens, I hate them. They are just so stupid. Not only are they jerks, but they are just stupid. They are selling their entire land to this evil overlord. How does that make sense? And Hybern, oh my gosh, he is like one of the sassiest villains I have ever read. And we only got the slightest glimpse of what he was capable of in this book, which really scares me, because that means he could kill off one of my babies. Like, what if he kills Rhysand? I don't want Rhysand to die. I don't think Rhysand's gonna die. But if he does, I will die too. That's it. Just sacrifice Ianthe and Tamlin, like, in their cauldron, and then everything will go poof, better. And, like, the book as a whole, it flowed so naturally. Like, the way they spoke, it wasn't super flowery and obnoxious and cheesy. Like, you know how some of that romantic language can be super cheesy and cringy, and you're like, don't say that, that's really gross. But this one, it flowed so naturally, and it was actually things that probably I would say, like how I would talk to people. Like, especially the dream team is a perfect example. How they interacted with each other like a normal family, not just some awkward friends together. They actually reacted to each other like normal people would act. And I thought that was so amazing that Sarah J. Maas could write people how they actually were. And I liked how she, like, this is like kind of normal, but she gave Feyre and Rhysand a good 500 pages before anything happened. She let them grow together. She let them grow as friends first, and then as lovers, and then as mates. And I loved that so much. That build-up was perfect. It was perfect. It wasn't overdone. It was just right. And the amount of sensory detail in this book, like, I could picture everything in this book so vividly. She provided every single detail that you would need to form the perfect picture. She provided that for you, and I love that because I could create actual images instead of like halfway images and then make up the rest on my own. She gave me what I needed to make the full image, if that makes sense. And that is why Sarah J. Maas is probably one of my favorite authors of all time now, because she writes in a way that is easy to read, but also, like, how can anybody write so beautifully but so simply also, so easy to understand? But I aspire to write like that. I am so excited for the next book, but it doesn't come out until 2018, and that is such a long time away. I need the next book in the series right now, because I need more Rhysand, and I really need them to be back together. I need Feyre and Rhysand to be back together. Because when they were torn apart and the mating bond was severed, but then it wasn't, I was like, I closed the book for a second, I was like, that's not right! That is not right! She said that the mating bond was the strongest bond, and that it can't be broken! This is stupid! I can't do this! But then I read further, and Rhysand was like, but the mating bond isn't broken, and I was like, oh, don't scare me like that ever again! So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, my review. Comment down below if you liked the book, if you're excited for the next book. Who's your favorite character in this book? Rhysand. Comment down below if you'd like this Feyre makeup tutorial, because I would love to do one if you would like it. Thank you so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe if you want to subscribe, and yeah, I think that's it. Bye!